I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, adequate notice is defined by Section 3D of Chapter 231, PL 1975, to be made by regular mail. Such notice being submitted on January 7th, 2016, from the Administrative Center in County Sussex, located 1 Spring Street, Newton, New Jersey, to the following: New Jersey Herald, New Jersey Sunday Herald, Star Ledger, WSUS Radio, WNNJ Radio. It is also posted on the bulletin board maintained in the Administrative Center for the public announcements and has been submitted to the Sussex County Clerk in compliance with Act. We ask for a motion for approval of the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor? We have,
I would like to consider Resolution A and consent agenda separately from B and C.
okay.
It'll be at the time. So,
All right, fine. Then we'll handle it at the time.
Okay.
This is proclamations, certificates, presentations, public hearings. We have neither of those. Listed for a public session from the floor. Please note that everyone is asked to keep their comments to 5 minutes or less. Only address issues, if you can, only address issues regarding agenda items. Please state your name, spell your last name, and state your municipal residency. Motion?
I'll second.
All in favor? Is there anybody wish to speak?
Harbor Rosette, Byron, New Jersey. I too was interested in consent agenda item A. And since there's not going to be public discussion there, I did want to hear what the freeholders felt needed to be changed in a contract that's been running for a year now. And I think there should be a public discussion on this. This is a very controversial subject. It's a controversial program. And I wanted to remind the freeholders, this solar program is all about words on a piece of paper. The county owns nothing. The county operates nothing. The county didn't design this facility or program. You hired someone else to do that. So in essence, the words on a piece of paper is what put you into the problem. And you're now changing the words on a piece of paper for a contract that's been running for a year now, almost a year. So we have an investigation right now where the words are changing on the contract, and my first question is, what did we get for the first $250,000 that we spent? I mean, I looked at that contract. We were supposed to have a report last spring, I believe, or at least I think the phrasing was the first phase. And we already upped the ante to $500,000. We doubled the amount. And now we're changing the words in the contract. In addition, we've continually been told that it's a hands-off activity. You're not interfering with anything. It almost appears like there's no oversight. I know some people refute this, but from my public point of view, it really doesn't seem to be much oversight. Now we're changing the contract, so somebody saw that the old contract didn't cover what you want out of this, and new words have to be added. I don't know the reason, but during your discussion of item 10A, I would like to understand why words need to be changed on a contract that we've already spent, I think at least $250,000, and you're willing to go up to $500,000, and I don't even know why. I mean, I don't understand why this amount has to be spent at all. So I guess to summarize, I'm very curious why someone has discovered that words on a piece of paper were incorrect and the work product delivered was not matching up with your expectations. And then you needed what in essence is an addendum or a new contract. And I'll refer this back to the solar program. You passed a lot of legalese on the solar program, I think it was November of 2011. You changed it a year later with addendum number 1, which has caused probably your biggest headaches leading into today. And now we're doing the same thing on this investigation. In closing, I just have one question that's a follow-up from a request earlier in past meetings, and that is, you're seeing a return, or you're asking for a return of a lot of funding in some of your additional resolutions, but I don't see the solar program returning any money. And it's been announced that 2 solar farms have been canceled. I don't see the construction funds being returned. And I'm really, I find it kind of unbelievable that nobody's discussing this. And so that we can better understand how much money should be returned, has anyone yet been made aware of what the shortage is in kilowatt production on these solar farms? Like the administrator finally be able to give us that number. I know Council Williams has been involved in administrating this program. Freeholders, who passed the cancellation of these solar farms. What is the shortage in this program for solar activity, solar production? Did you know, Administrator Tappan?
I can't comment on that right now.
This is the 3rd meeting. If you were to build a 10-story building and it only came in at 7,
Time.
I can see that there's a 7-story building. But you're refusing to address that this program's coming up short, well short, and this has a 15-year payback that's missing now. This shortage now isn't just construction funds, it's 15 years. Why can't we learn what, this is a $14 million program. Just tell us what the shortage is on KW.
Thank you.
Another day of silence.
Is there anybody else that has anything? Yes, sir.
John Snyder, Sandersman Township. I have a question about item number 13 of the resolutions. Recording and broadcasting regular meetings of the Board of Freeholders of Sussex County. I've seen this also in the Herald, the use of the word broadcasting, which would imply you have a transmitter, and this is going to be going out over the airwaves. And I would even the antenna on my roof from Channel 2. So I am questioning the use of that word. I don't believe it's appropriate. Telecast maybe, or cablecast, something like that. But
We'll be addressing it when we get to the,
and the other thing is the 5-minute limit. I thought that was in case there were 15, 20, 30 people all waiting in line waiting to speak rather than just 2 or 3 people. So I don't see one person going to 6 minutes or 7 minutes is really a major issue. Thank you.
is there anybody else? Not seeing anyone else? I would see the motion closed. Motion closed.
I'll second.
Okay, I'd like to move on to Freeholder's comments. Freeholder, vote.
This is my last official freeholder meeting. Very lame duck. I said 61 years ago this week, I enlisted in the U.S. Army. That was my first act of civic responsibility. I was taught at an early age that all of us have an obligation, a civic responsibility to our country and our communities to participate in the democratic process to protect our way of life. I've been continuously involved one way or another all these years, and now I've decided it's time to slow down a little. I'll still be serving as a member of the Highlands Council, as a Sussex County Soil Conservation Supervisor, Crime Stoppers, a member of the Sussex Green Township Environmental Commission. That cuts me back to like 5 or 6 meetings a month. I'd just like to publicly thank everyone who has supported me in my efforts to make Sussex County a better place to live. And I ask for your support to do the same after I leave office. These are my last comments from this side of the microphone. All my future comments will be from the other side. Thank you.
On December 26th, 22nd, we had a budget hearing. Gus Mudla, the superintendent, and Andrew, the BA, were there from VOTEC. We talked about there was a request from them for a 2% increase in the budget. We're still in discussions whether that was going to come in under that. We also talked about moving the cost of the county superintendent, which currently their facilities are included in the VOTEC budget, into a separate budget so that we can keep the total cost of the county superintendent in a known place in the budget. So they're gonna pull those costs out and then put it into a lease with the county. On the 22nd of December, had a meeting with IT that was Bill Kozinets, Ron Tappan, George Brown, and myself. We discussed fiber optic. In addition to the videotaping you read about in the newspaper, we discussed fiber optic connections between here and Beechworth Road and here in the 911 center, as well as the possibility of doing redundant, closing the triangle and doing redundancy. It looks like we probably can come in at or under the current 100 megabits per second Metro Ethernet service we're getting through CenturyLink, and that would give us minimum 1 gigabits per second and possibly 10 gigabits per second, so 10 to 100 times faster for the same or less money. So we're looking into that currently. There's a contract in place with CenturyLink, so it most likely won't happen this year. Finally, I'd like to congratulate Rich on the retirement from the Freeholder Board, and thank you for all your service all the time you've been here.
Thank you. Freeholder Craft?
No report other tn to also thank my colleague, Richie Bowden. When he first got here, he was only 85 years old. And the whole thing was that he was the newest and the oldest freeholder here. But one of the things that he did, I think what people don't understand is when they first become a freeholder here, at least for me, was that there's so much to get your arms around. There's so many different facets to county government, many of which have nothing to do with the others. But yet you've got to get your arms around, you've got to try to understand when these things come up and also what effect that they would have against other parts of the budget and what their needs are and what their true needs are. It's a very daunting thing. But when Richie Bowden got here, he immersed himself in everything, even things that were not his direct responsibility. He went to all the little committees, all the bigger committees, all the outside groups. He became a student of Sussex County government. And I think that's probably his best legacy here. It's that he never mailed it in. He went out and to take it upon himself to get proficient in every one of these corners of county government. And it's through that he became a very active freeholder. And I think that'll probably be his legacy going forward from here. And I again appreciate the opportunity to serve with Richie, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you gradually.
Freeholder Lazaro?
Road Department continues to do a good job of the roads. The last storm, I don't have the numbers for the last storm, it's still early. We're anticipating a quiet rest of the winter. Not sure that'll happen, but we'll anticipate it anyway. The Arts and Heritage Council has made some significant changes inside for their operations for lack of funding. Sorry to see that happen, but there's some things we just can't carry over too long. That's all I have.
Today's my last meeting as a Freeholder Director. And it's been a challenging year. A lot of things have happened outside conditions, inside conditions, things that have made it a challenge. But with cooperation in every department, we've actually been able to get through a lot of the things that people have predicted outside, and some came right to that microphone and predicted it, that it wasn't going to happen. We've had changes in the administrator twice in the last 18 months. the engineer, Health and Human Services, the Health Department, Treasury, and in purchasing. We've had changes at every level of government. Government's an interesting thing, I found. I've spent 10 years as an elected official, and even I find that we as elected officials can make policy, but how it is handled after you hand it off is usually a little bit different than what you anticipate. And that's why we are elected officials. We're there to ensure that what we are doing in the name of the people is continued into its next level. I would hope that the next director and deputy director keep in mind that bureaucracy is sometimes your greatest help and it's also your greatest enemy. But there are things that happen out there that you go back to a week, 2 weeks, 5 weeks, 5 months later, and find out it just wasn't exactly done that way. And that's, I think, is the most important thing that a director of the board can do. I try to conduct myself with civility as much as I can. There are times when you have to be firm, there are times when you have to say, well, that's enough time. But there are times when you can give answers when the answers ought to be had. You can't give the same answer over and over again. Sometimes being a politician is like working with a school full of high schoolers. You know, they can ask the question over and over again, they just don't like the answer. Sometimes the answer is given. Many times the answer is given. Just because you keep asking the question over and over again doesn't mean the answer will change. I also want to comment on transparency. I know that we see a camera here, and we'll be discussing a camera that will be a constant in this room. Transparency is, by definition, as this board, is not that you can see the image. You can see the image, that's fine. But transparency is that everything that we do is memorialized. It's memorialized by the clerk in her notes. It's memorialized by audio. It's then transcribed, and then it is publicized. It's put out on our website, and it's put out anywhere else that anybody wants to use it. So taking umbrage with the fact that a camera wasn't here for a meeting or 2 meetings or 1,000 meetings behind us did not change transparency. It's all there. And again, it's not going to change the answers. You can sit there and you can say you didn't get your answer. Well, if you didn't get your answer, you didn't get your answer, but you may have gotten your answer and you just choose to not believe it or choose to not accept it. I'd like to finish by speaking with Mr. Bowden. Mr. Bowden was a big help to me in my first year as a freeholder. Coming from municipalities for the number of years that I did, you have again, I was talking about bureaucracy. Well, it's a different bureaucracy. And it is absolutely, in the municipal side, is absolutely everything different than what you do as a freeholder. Freeholder, you handle things like health, human services, the sheriff, the jail, all these different things that you have to get your mind around. Where on a municipal side, you're dealing with local roads, local employees, maybe, you know. This is my a mentor of mine once said, it's all about the pipes, it's just a matter of how much you're pushing through. And it is, it's all about the pipes. But I would like to say to Mr. Bowden, good luck. And I appreciate what you have done for me.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to move on to the approval of the consent agenda, and we'll take A separately. And I'd like to open, I'm going to read this about the, putting this up there, but I'd like to have a discussion on this, and I'd like to start that discussion off with our council, and with our clerk, and with our administrator. I'd like the three of them to first describe why this is on here.
I'll take that. This is a correction. There's no changes to anything with regard to the resolution and the PSA that was passed. There was one passed on November 22nd by this board. As I said in an email I sent you all on December 21st, a working draft of the PSA was erroneously used for the November 22nd resolution. So all we have is an incomplete draft of the PSA that's always been in existence, that's what you initially adopted, and that was erroneously attached to the resolution. So the proper form of PSA, which is what you approved, or didn't, or voted against, is all that's being done here. It's a correction. It's a type of graphical correction. That's all that it is.
Can you be specific, a little more specific about it? Because it was an underlying, cross through, or?
Would you like me to go through the changes?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Would you like me to read them into the record?
Yes, I would.
If I give it to you, would you mind or someone else doing it? Because my throat's kind
In
of
there.
taxed with a bronchitis this weekend. You can read from the section of the PSA. What you feel those are, what you will, you just read the section on the PSA, the yellow and underlined is what is added. It was not in the erroneous November 22nd PSA.
Thank you. Scope of services. Objection. Contractor shall conduct an inquiry into the background and status of the county's participation in the solar project. The corrected part is including an overall assessment of the planning and implementation of the project, as well as of the complications encountered and resulting costs incurred from inception to date. That is the correction. And more particularly to determine if funds expended by the county constitute damages that can be recouped by the county through civil litigation. This will include review of the facts and circumstances leading up to the county's entry into the solar project, review the factual procedural history of the county, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which is all in the original agreement. Continuing on in that paragraph, correction, the scope of services shall also include providing advice concerning the method and manner of the county's participation in the solar project and similar projects on an ongoing basis. Phase 1 preliminary, the contractor will determine relevant facts regarding the solar project and, that's a correction. Phase 2 comprehensive, correction. The contractor will further determine whether best practices counsel in favor of a change in county procedures with regard to the solar project or to county participation in similar projects going forward. That's it. Did I miss anything?
Oh. Yeah, I think that's all.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. These changes were not included in the November resolution. Correct?
No, that's not in the PSA attached to the November resolution.
Now, they were not attached, they were not included in the original PSA agreement, professional service agreement. They weren't.
Yeah, they were.
I have a copy of the original agreement. They're not part of it. If you tell me they are,
They are.
they are. Okay, then I really don't have any. If this was part of the original agreement, I don't know why they're not in my agreement, the agreement that I took offline.
I would like to make sure
Yeah.
that this is, my understanding of this was brought to my attention last week. And at that point in time, it was said to me that there was the original agreement draft. This is going back last year. Then there was original agreement changes. And then we voted on the original changes. That was the finished agreement. Then in November, somehow or another, we picked up the draft without the changes. And then that was what was passed on to be voted on last month. This is supposed to take that out. Now, I'm going to follow with Mr. Logan's question here to ensure that we have all these agreements line up.
Yeah.
This is the same agreement that we voted on January 27th.
Yeah, I want to make sure that they are all lined up, they all say the same thing,
Yes.
and that anything that has previous agreements, do you have, on the bottom of the agreement, do you have a date and revision?
Well, the easiest way to do that is just check and see the signatures, because you may, for the vote, you may be taking something that was emailed that was not the last draft. So,
I believe this one came from the website, our website, when the solar documents were,
There's an easy way to do this, but simple. We look at what's signed, because when the agreement's passed, it's signed
Signed
here
agreement with the county, I agree.
and then it's sent to the vendor, the contractor, signed, and that's where this was brought to our attention, because it was sent to Attorney Boxer. He noticed that some of the language was missing in the original PSA.
so
Can I
all
just ask-
concern is that we were voting on, this is an amended PSA, but this is the original.
It's the original PSA.
Just as one thing for clarity, has this board had eyeballs on these highlighted areas before?
Yes,
they
yes.
considered it?
This was sent, this was sent.
Yeah,
As I
yes.
said in my December
No, no.
21st
I'm not saying
email
sent,
to the
I'm not saying
board.
sent. Was this worded on whatever this board has considered at any time in the past?
Yes. What it passed on January 21st.
Okay. So, I'm going to say, I'm going to ask for a motion on well, first of all, I'm going to finish out, I'm going to read them all the way down, and then we'll make the motions to do what we have to do. Okay. All right, so this is approval of a consent agenda. Resolution authorizing the entry into a corrected form of professional services agreement with Matthew Boxer Esquire, 19 Santa LLP, for providing the special counsel services in review of the Sussex County Renewable Energy Program without competitive bidding as a professional service pursuant to NJSA 40A:11-5-1AI. B, authorizing the issuance of purchase orders in compliance with NJSA 19:44A:20.4 SEC for various services with accumulated value less than the bid threshold. C, resolution renewal of contract with Delta Dental Plan of New Jersey Incorporated for dental insurance coverage for County of Sussex employees effective January the 1st of 2017 to December the 31st, 2017. The Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Sussex has reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions and determined the adoption of said resolutions is in and will further the public interest. Roll call vote. And do you want to still take this out as A? No? Do, anybody else? Okay, so we will ask for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Roll call, please.
Freeholder Pratt.
Yes.
Freeholder Lazaro.
Yes.
Freeholder Rose.
Yes.
Freeholder Broden.
Yes.
Freeholder Director Graham.
Yes. It's 10, 11. Approval of minutes, regular meeting of December the 14th, 2016. Can I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I'm going to abstain. I've been having some problems with the county email. I did not receive these minutes, but it's not going to make a difference in the vote, so I'm going to abstain. I didn't read the minutes.
Record.
Did you receive the next batch?
Yes.
You received the next batch, okay. The next batch are a bunch of executive sessions that
We should
had...
probably vote on this one first.
All in favor? No, I said all in favor. You did. Aye, and abstain.
Let the record show.
Thank you.
I didn't-
Okay. We have executive session of January 28, 2015, regular meeting of May 4th, 2015, executive May 22nd, 2015, executive June 4th of 2015, executive June 10th, 2015, executive June 16th of 2015, and executive July 8th of 2015. Did I say 2015 and all? I hope I did.
Yes. You did.
Okay. All right, so I would ask for a motion on that.
Yeah, I'll move it, I'd like brief discussion.
That's fine. Second, Rich? Second. Okay. Discussion.
I read through them, they seem fine, it's hard to put yourself back continuity-wise for some of these things. But was there a reason, because these weren't all the 2-hour meetings, right? I mean, these were,
No, they weren't the 2-hour meetings. The reason being is that when you read these, you knew what was going on at that time. We were doing interviews, we were losing our top 3 people.
Yeah.
We were doing interviews for them. We had new people coming in. A lot of questions were being asked. They were coming down into my office along with just getting people, getting them knowledge of what they needed to do. Not saying that they were asking me, but there were a lot of questions coming down. In this floor, I was the one that had some of the knowledge of it. So they were coming to me and asking questions, how do we do that? Who do we need to contact? A lot of them were solar issues. Again, in my office, it was me and I had a new person. I did not have staff. Trish had left, I had Susie.
Oh, yeah, no, I
It
was-
was just getting pushed to back because there was other things that had more. priority.
I was just wondering whether there was any technical issues.
No, there were no technical issues, it
because-
was just my workload and how I was prioritizing it.
You know, I, as a freeholder, didn't ask for these things either. I didn't know this, they weren't there either. So it isn't that, it's that, I don't remember more than one or two of the marathon meetings. that we had.
All the solar issues are done. We did that last one at the last meeting. Solar is done. And these were just the interviews for the administrator and council and
That's
the
why they-
appointment of the treasurer.
They're in succession from May,
Exactly.
from like May until July. Got it, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else? Okay, do a roll call on this one.
Freeholder Crab.
Yes.
Freeholder Lazaro.
Abstain.
Freeholder Rose.
Abstain.
Freeholder Bowden.
Yes.
Freeholder Director Graham.
Yes. Okay, no appointments or resignations, for resolutions. This is the recording and broadcasting regular meetings of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of Sussex County. I'd like to ask for a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
It was right after the last meeting that I believe Freeholder Bowden and Freeholder Rose got correspondence from County Council saying that it looks as if Service Electric can miraculously let go of any of the constraints that we thought that they had with regards to filming it, posting it, putting it up anywhere. So my question is, having that, and I don't know whether that email went to the rest of the Freeholder Board, Freeholder Board forwarded it to me. That being said, if the Service Electric is willing to do this for free, and they've done it for free, and we won't have to pay them for staff to man the camera, and there's a process already in place through Service Electric in other municipalities, what's the upside of doing it ourselves now?
I'll take that one. There's a couple of advantages to doing it ourselves, even though it is true, Service Electric came back to the county and said that we could make the videos that they produce available online. However, there's still some copyright issues. So we would not be able to copy the DVDs and give them out per Oprah request. Any Oprah request would come in for that video would have to be passed over to Service Electric or their videographer to get copied. And that cost is somewhere around $15 an hour, $15 per DVD, where our cost could be the cost of the media, which might be 50 cents per dollar. So that's one issue. The second issue is not all people in Sussex County are covered by Service Electric. There are a few towns that are covered by Comcast in the county. And so this resolution envisions mailing out copies of the meeting or copies of the video to both Comcast and Service Electric. So Service Electric could still broadcast it and Comcast simultaneously. If it was Service Electric doing the video and Cablevision, I'm sorry. Cablevision would not be able to take Service Electric's video and broadcast it on their page channel.
But
So
Jonathan,
those are
if they were giving us the resulting DVD and allowing us to post it whenever that we wanted to, everybody can see it. Everybody that has a computer, if they allow us to post to our own website, if they allow us to put it on to YouTube with regards to Oprah, what need would there to be for Oprah that is publicly available? That's why I'm not quite understanding. The other concern, and I'll just skip that, this is the provision here for review, and I think what does that mean?
review.
Yeah, review,
Where?
that's under resolution, right? That this will come under review in April?
Oh, that's for real-time broadcasting. So what this resolution envisions is prior to, in the first quarter of the year, next year, the Freeholder Board will look at the possibility of doing real-time broadcasting online, which would not be possible through Service Electric. So we're going to look at the technologies and the costs involved in doing it so that the video would be available on your device or on your computer at home in real time instead of being available later as a video that's already been recorded.
So not a review of the program as.
No. So just so you know, that's 4 on the resolution here, and just so the language is clear to everyone, it says a review will be made before April 1st, 2017 of the cost and feasibility of real-time access to the video by members of the public. This review will be given to the Freeholder Board at a regularly scheduled meeting. So that was not envisioned to be a review of the program, it was envisioned to be a review of real-time broadcasting or the possibilities thereof.
But that's in the resolution. Just read that part.
Yeah, I mean, that's the.
I know, but you brought up the part about the review, so I'm curious as to why, I mean, you knew what that was about. Or did you read the resolution?
Are you scolding me?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, that's fine.
My question here is that there's been a lot of discussion on this, back and forth, there's been a lot of concern on this as to whether this is done the right way. I live in Stanhope, I have Cablevision, I would not receive it the other way. I also feel that this will be part of the record. I hope, I mean, I'm not the technical guy here, but I'm hoping that it'll start the same as the audio starts. When Kathy goes over and does this, we got audio and we got video at the same time. And that brings it all together. It also keeps it that we keep it part of our archive, and we keep control of it, as making sure that if somebody wants to open this, they can open this. If somebody wants to get it on the website, they can. If somebody wants to get it on YouTube, If it does go real time, which I think is an excellent idea, people can tune in at whatever the time of the meeting is and get it, or they can play it back later on because it's all available.
Well, basis for my concern is just to get complete clarity on it was that, we've been a long time getting to this point. Miraculously, after the last meeting, something's been put together here.
I think it's miraculous that it became a subject after.
Well, let me say that the last comment at the last meeting when it was voted down was that we could have done this anytime over the past 5 years. Why didn't we do it anytime over the past 5 years? This could have been done anytime over the last 5 months. And the reason why I asked about that review was that I just wanted to make sure that this wasn't something that we're just going through the motions now, like with the original $250,000 for Boxer, when the intent was to.
I agree with you. I tell you, I sat here, looked at the documents that were handed to me the day of the solar ball. I said to myself, boy, if there was transparency here today, we'd all know what's in there. Didn't happen then either.
So that's the reason that.
No, I think this is a good
for the
idea.
past 5 months.
I believe this is a good idea. I think it's a good idea that we're doing it. I think it's a good idea we're doing it this way.
I'll just say that this has kind of been turned into an internal football game. And like I've said, 99% of our constituents don't give a rat's behind about the internal politics going on. This is something that we need to hand the ball over to take over the mayor and Tom. Let's do it.
We started discussing this a year ago, last November, when the first time we brought this up. It was June when we went into serious discussions. That's 7 months ago, and we got one shot here. I think we should get this right. I think we all agree that we're looking for is to make the video available to the maximum number of viewers, access online 24/7, whether it's YouTube or the county website or both, that it's archived for future viewing, which we've covered, that it's available on TV for those without a computer or the proficiency to use one, and preferably at no cost to the taxpayer. And it sounds like we have it all covered here, but I have one question. Are we sure that Service Electric and Comcast are going to broadcast this?
Well, that was the question that was also asked. Were those phone calls made? Why were those phone calls not made?
I don't know. We're still in the modes of that. We're still in the development of that. We don't see any reason why they wouldn't.
We had a meeting, if we pass this tonight, and they provide this service as part of a franchise under a federal grant, that their grant funding comes because they do this. This may not qualify them for the grant monies, and we will lose that population of Comcast and Service Electric. Everybody doesn't have a computer. We have a lot of people out there that are hurting. They may have a computer, but they don't have the online services. We've got a lot of senior citizens that have no idea what they're doing with a computer could never find this. I think we gotta get this right so that everybody in Sussex County has access to see this.
I think this takes us closest right now. If there has to be adjustments, I'll be definitely in favor of making the adjustments to make it right.
I'm looking at if we went, just comparing, if we went with Service Electric would provide us with the video we could put online,
I feel this is the,
and it would be free.
I feel this put it here, over here on a regular basis. It can be used for something else, it can be used for other meetings. Maybe we can start taking up other meetings that are going on, maybe ag development, maybe planning board.
Well,
There's a lot
right
of things
now,
that could
we're
happen.
concerned about this meeting being online. I wish we would have made that call. That
So do I.
will
Yeah.
they,
We were supposed
and
to
if
have.
they don't provide access on cable, on Service Electric, we lose that big part. That may be the biggest part of the viewership.
Well, I would like to vote, make a motion. Do we have a motion?
I have, there's two things. First, on point 5, there was in the newspaper article I read in the last few days, it said, the sentence was that the video would be made available something like no sooner than 2 days after the meeting. The language here in number 5 says the video will be posted to the county's website no later than 2 business days after the regular scheduled meeting. My intention with that language was to give the county only 2 business days to get it online.
Right.
Is that clear enough, or do we need to rework that language so that it's clear that it was on the website within 2 business days? Is that clear enough?
Yeah.
And then the other issue, I thought it was Comcast. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was Cablevision, so we'll just need to make a motion and second and vote to amend this to change Comcast to Cablevision. So if there's, I'll do that at the end if there's any further discussion.
Jonathan, I see Bill McClure here. What about, there was mentioned there's no extra cost to taxpayers. What about compensation for videographer?
There is none. We're gonna have Kathy run it from today.
So in the resolution here, under 9, it says, the Division of Information Technology and Division of Facilities Maintenance will shall permanently mount the camera to the Freeholder meeting room for use in videoing the meeting. So the intention was on the back wall, there would be a permanently mounted video camera, probably with a remote control or possibly a computer by Kathy to turn it on and off, the same way she does the audio. And then that audio, or sorry, that video, typically the way those cameras, they create a file for every time you turn it on and off, so it'd be these files. So then those files would go to our IT department, 4 in particular, who would splice them together, add a lead in and a lead out, consisting of the county seal and date, time of the meeting, and the title of the meeting, and then post it in. That's the only editing that would occur on the video.
My other question was item 4. Under resolve number 4, and that is just a review of the costs and feasibility of real-time access. You're not going to review this project. That's not a question for the council. Last November, we spent a lengthy discussion about audio taping all our meetings, regular, special, and executive session meetings. And it's, if you go back to the minutes of that meeting, it was 4 pages of minutes on that meeting. And we voted that we would videotape all regular, special, and executive session meetings. We have not, we've motioned to not, the last 2 executive session meetings, we've motioned not to audio tape those meetings. Will that be allowed to be done here as we, because we went through the resolution at the meeting of last meeting in April, if they decide not, I'm going to be here, if there's a motion made to not audio tape this meeting?
Videotape.
Videotape this meeting, like we did with executive session meetings. Can that be done? Will that be allowed?
Yes.
We can vote to not audio tape.
There are things that a board does this year that can change next year, that can change the year after. I mean, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we made a change in the clerk of the board. And then we changed it back. So yes, we do not have the power
By
to reach into the
resolution, we
future.
did that by resolution. I'm saying, can we change this with a motion?
It's not likely, but yes, I believe we can.
What do you think?
A resolution can be modified or changed.
Well, we have to modify the resolution, it can't be done by motion. We can't motion at the April meeting to not videotape that particular meeting. That's a concern.
No,
I mean, we're
because
doing it with the audio taping.
Why would we do that, Rich?
Why do we do it with executive session? I
Because
know your reason.
there were
I know your
executive
reason.
session, there were, the discussion in executive session had to do with personnel, had to do with contract, and many of our contract discussions have to do with multiple contracts. We discussed strategy regarding one bargaining unit that affects 3 other bargaining units. So if we pass those, but I think it's important that the public understand that when we put something out there, it's important that both sides of the story get out there.
Okay, we had this discussion in the 4 pages of minutes. We had that discussion, and we voted unanimously to continue to audio tape executive session meetings, and then we overrode it. I just don't want that to happen here.
But it can happen.
I really don't think it can.
I think it can. I think it's a matter of somebody would have to go up to the public and say, this is what we're doing.
I think we'd have to revise the resolution, but that's,
I believe you're probably right there, but what I'm saying is we can't hamstring a future board. This is something I learned going back to municipal, is that there are things that happen today and then something can happen tomorrow and it can change.
that we're saying now that something should be transparent and other things, transparency doesn't matter. That's what we're saying.
No, that's not what you're saying. That's what you just said. That's not what we're saying.
That's what I believe we're saying here.
No, I believe that we're saying is that we are going to, look, I'm not gonna be director next year, so whoever the director is, it's his thing, or her thing. So my feeling about it is that
It's this board's thing.
it's the board's thing. I don't see how that's going to change. But I
What
don't,
What prompted this discussion was the review. So long as it means the cost and feasibility of real-time access, I don't have a problem with that.
okay. So can we have a motion, we have a second?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to, I'd like to make a motion to amend the resolution to have number 6, which currently reads, after the recording is complete, copies can be sent via regular mail to Strauss News, New Jersey Herald, Service Electric Cable Television, Comcast, and the Alternative Press, to instead read, after the recording is complete, copies will be sent via regular mail to Strauss News, the New Jersey Herald, Service Electric Cable Television, Cablevision, and the Alternative Press.
And that's 2 changes, because if you notice, it
Yeah.
says Sussex right now. So
What
those
was
are
the first
2 corrections.
Yes.
Upon request.
No.
Okay. What as I'm reading this, this list of who we're sending it to, Strauss News.
Right.
Okay. We're sending to them, but up here on the 3rd, 4th whereas, it said copies of the recording will be made available to local media agencies digitally upon request.
Yeah, the intention was
So-
to just send it to them.
Okay, well, what do we take out?
I think that upon
Okay.
request is fine though, because if another media agency that's
That's
not
true,
on the
yeah.
list does come in, I think that it's proper that they're allowed the same courtesy that we're allowing here. Suppose maybe somebody out of another county wants to take it.
One other thing also, as I indicated last meeting, the video always has to be made available under OPRA. That was one of the concerns with the methodology, is you can't create a video and not make sure that you subject that video.
This video
to
would
OPRA.
be subject to
To
Oprah,
OPRA.
yes.
Yes, anyone, we have that obligation,
But
so
should
we have to make sure.
Should that phrase that Jonathan just read, putting individual entities in the, you know,
I think it's good.
if, I'm getting to that, if there was some new entity that came around, would we have to change the resolution, send out, why don't we put at least in front of that, at least to these agencies?
That probably would be good though to memorial, if you're going to automatically send a video out, it probably would be good to memorialize it in a changed resolution in the future, I would think. So my thought here, that was what I believe is a comprehensive list of all the
media agencies.
Yeah, not media, but the news agencies that cover the county. So if there was another one added, my thought would be that we would pass another resolution which would add that, or an amendment to this resolution which would add that to that list, just to memorialize it. But either way.
So specifically, what are we going to put on this one? What are we going to do right now? What are we motioning on?
It was, the motion was made, there was no second, so,
Yeah.
but there was no, the motion was not, the amendment was not seconded, so I'll have to remake it if we want to do it. What changes do we want to add in here? Is the whereas acceptable?
Upon request?
Yes. That's acceptable?
I believe it is to me.
Okay, and the list, do we want to add the language to, add?
At least, I'd like the at least. I think that we're.
Yes,
That's acceptable?
So we don't have to keep revisiting.
Yeah, you don't have to keep revisiting it, and if we want to, we can change it on a regular basis to update it, but I think at least is fine.
Have it in the audience public today, NewJersey.com, I believe, but I don't know if they'd be.
Yeah, I would just hate to have this board have to vote and potentially turn somebody down and we get into trouble for why we're turning down.
Well, they always have the ability to over. They always have the ability to over the video, so this
The
was.
at least means that we don't have to go back to the.
Okay, all right, so let me just change this then. I'd like to make a motion to amend the resolution, to amend item number 6, which currently reads, after the recording is complete, copies will be sent via regular mail to Strauss News, New Jersey Herald, Service, Electric, Cable Television, Comcast, and the Alternative Press, to instead read, after the recording is complete, copies will be sent via regular mail to at least Strauss News, the New Jersey Herald, Service Electric, Cable Television, Cablevision, and the Alternative Press.
I'll second.
Carl, would second.
That was for the amendment.
Yes.
For the amendment. Okay, so, is that an all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Then we go to the resolution
As
itself.
amended, yes.
As amended, a motion?
So moved.
Second.
That's already.
There was a motion already, but so we need a second.
No, it's already motion
Yes.
and second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call.
Freeholder Crab,
Yes.
Freeholder Lazaro,
Yes.
Freeholder Rose,
Yes.
Freeholder Bowden,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Grant.
Yes. Okay, we move on to awards of contracts and change orders. We don't have any. I'm going to move on to financial, which is resolution regarding payment of bills. Motion?
So moved.
Second? Second. Discussion? Roll call?
Freeholder Crab,
Yes.
Freeholder Lazaro,
Yes.
Freeholder Rose,
Abstain.
Freeholder Bowden,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Grant.
Yes. Okay, move on to resolution B, also financial. Resolution payment of bills, resolution regarding, resolution providing for the canceling of various grant fund receivables and reserves that exist in the balance sheet of the current budget. Resolution transfer of 2016 current appropriations. Authorization to cancel certain general capital improvement authorization balances, canceling unfunded debt. Resolution authorization to cancel certain general capital improvement authorization balances, canceling unexpended funded balances, and credit them to the capital fund balance. And resolution authorization to cancel certain general capital accounts receivable and improvement of authorization balances.
So moved.
Discussion? Roll call?
Freeholder Crab,
Yes.
Freeholder Lazaro,
Yes.
Freeholder Rose,
Yes.
Freeholder Bowden,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Grant.
Yes. Personnel, nothing, administrative report.
Just real quickly, thank you, Freeholder Bowden. It's been a pleasure having you on the board. I appreciate all the talks on farming and the war and
Fishing.
And fishing, yeah. you're right.
Spanish American War.
Yeah, right. There is no doubt in any mind's eyes around here that you love your country. Thank you. Thank you.
Good.
That's it.
Anything else?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Unfinished business? New business? Public session from the floor. Everyone is asked to keep their comments to 5 minutes or less. Please state your name, spell your last name, state your municipal residency. Do I have a motion? Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? I see you. Yes, sir.
Robert Rosanna, Lyon Township. It seems the last 3 meetings have not been audio taped. Is that definitely the story?
Yes, we've had a technical difficulty. I've had the service provider in here. We thought that we had it resolved. Unfortunately, it is not resolved, so I'm waiting for them to come back in again. We have a record of the meeting. I take my notes, I record all the motions, all the votes, and any discussions, whether it be the public or the board, are written down. We've used those to make our minutes. The board has voted on those minutes. And what I have this meeting is a backup. I have another recorder that I use for off-site meetings. So we are hopefully being recorded twice.
And the one thing I was going to mention is 10 years ago, audio taping was a big deal, much more complicated. Tapes broke, noise, you name it. Audio taping today is pretty straightforward. You can grab a phone and just plug into these mics. Like, I don't know what you're using today, but it's pretty straightforward audio tape today. I was just wondering why the last 3 meetings there was no announcement that this meeting will not be audio tape, or that we couldn't just plug in a phone, in the interim of getting the main system fixed. And my concern extends now to the videotaping, because you just missed 3 audio tape meetings, and now we're going to do videotaping under the same umbrella of services. How do we make sure this doesn't happen again?
Technically, we will keep a good eye on it. We didn't know about the first one until the written third. I'll do a second.
That was I was taking care of it. I did not inform the board of the audio.
Because I was in the camp of invite everyone in for videotaping, and since SEC TV is under a federal program, I'm still having a lot of trouble wondering why copyright is an issue here, and the federal government is spending the money and encouraging the activity, and we're granting a monopoly status to an organization. That we're having a discussion here of whether a public meeting filmed under this condition is inhibited from providing a record for Oprah because there's a copyright issue. I really can't get my mind around that. I think there's a couple of loose parts here that need confirmation. So having 2 sources, the county videotaping, the SEC TV videotaping, we really avoid some of this audio tape issue that has visited you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
John Snyder, Sanderston. I get confused when I hear some of the language you just heard going back and forth. Video taping, audio taping, but I think it's recording is the word.
Recording is the proper word. You're absolutely right.
What media is being used now for the audio recording?
Well, we have this machine that has been in the county for, I don't know, however long.
So does it go on to video?
What is it?
On to digital?
Oh, what type?
Yeah, what is it?
It's an MP3 record,
Oh,
type
okay.
of record.
So it's a digital type of
Mhm.
recording. And the other question I have is going back to that resolution, item number 6. Jonathan, could you read that again, please?
The amended or the original one?
Well, I put regular mail. Is that in there?
Yes.
So that implies a DVD then? or
Yes.
physical?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, later in the resolution, it says the video will be made available in DVD format for Oprah request by public, and the intention will be that same DVD will be sent out to those.
So it's not going to be digitally sent to them, it's going to be physical.
It could be, but most media organizations that I've seen in the last few years actually want the DVD, not the digital copy, but either way, good job.
Okay, thank you. Happy New Year, everybody.
Hi, I'm Michelle Van Allen. I live in Hardiston Township, New Jersey. I just want to address the resolution that you just passed, that my concerns are too that all along there's discussion about having this done by Service Electric, was the request, and it seemed to be fought by the majority of the board, yet now doing it in-house, it seems an acceptable decision to make. And with recording issues, it seems that they would not maybe have those. Service Electric, they do that as their living. The also concerned is that now you will have a videographer that would probably have to be paid. Would they be paid outside of what they're normally here to do? Is this an additional to their job? You would have to purchase a camera, put it in, maintain it. And the mailings of the DVDs to those outlets would also be a taxpayer cost incurred, where it seems like we were absolutely not on the hook for anything with Service Electric doing it totally for free through grant. So your plan is to try and help save taxpayer dollars. That to me seems like it's going to be an expense to taxpayers, whether it runs to be a couple thousand or whatever the case may be, but it's going to be an additional cost. So I was just concerned. I know you've already voted on it, and it seems that at least you're in agreement that it should be more accessible to the public, because as a rule, a lot of people you can see do not show up to a meeting. I think we need more civic involvement. I think we need more people active and concerned. My friend that I brought with me today, she would not be able to get here unless I brought her, because she injured her ankle. And while she can listen to him at home, I tried to listen to him at home. You can't tell most of the time who's speaking unless you know them and their voice. It's not always very clear, and it's not a way for us to really get a grasp on what's happening. I know you mentioned about it's not about transparency, and maybe not, but there is a concern that a lot of people in Sussex County just aren't involved enough. And we're working right now to get more people involved, to step up, to be part of the county committee, the town councils, the board of eds, their freeholder board, to know what's happening, because when you don't know what's happening, you get what you ask for. So we want more people to be able to visually see the board, and to me that's more appealing to watch than it is listening to an audio tape of something that really is not clear of who's talking, what's happening. It's nice to see the people that get awards. It's nice to see their faces and recognize the people that are in your community. I think more people would be willing to step up when they saw that there is that happening. Not that they get the accolades, but they get the ability to know that that there is something there that I can get to. So I just wanted that to be said. I personally want to thank Mr. Bowden for being part of the board all these years, because I feel that you've been a voice for the people. You've spoke up. You've been somebody that is really there in our community, and we miss you very much. And I notice everybody thanks you for being here. Mr. Lazaro, hopefully you'll give him your thank you later on, because you did not mention him as being an asset to this board. And that's your own personal opinion, but everybody else had nice words to say about you, and I want to thank you personally as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I want to say you're smiling a lot better since you're married. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, married for 8 weeks now, so it's a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? If I see anyone else, I'd like a motion to close.
Motion closed.
I'll second.
Executive session?
Nothing.
Nothing in executive session? As we close 2016, it's been a wild ride of the year. It seems like it's not ending until 12:59 on Saturday night. 11:59. We, as a board, discuss issues and sometimes get passionate about our issues. The important thing is that it doesn't always, sometimes it comes across as that we are at each other, but we are at the issue. There are a lot of things, there's some times when it's got a little personal, but there have been a lot of times though when, in the manner of a discussion like you would have at your family kitchen table, somebody else has an idea and you say, well, you know what, I disagree with you, and then all of a sudden you think about it for a while and go, well, there's something to that. And then that's how we govern. We govern by consensus. It would be really easy for us to just slam down the hammer over and over again and say, I'm going to have my way or the highway. But that's not the way we do it. And I do not apologize for speaking my mind, and I don't want anybody else on this board to apologize, except for, things are spoken in haste or anger. But I think that we've done a good job this year. It was not an easy year. We had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of change in personnel, a lot of shots from the outside, a lot of shots from the inside. But I want to say that I'm proud to have served with all of you, and I hope that you all have a wonderful New Year's, safe New Year's. And I want to thank our amazing staff in this county, from our engineer to our human services department, fleet department, treasury. I can go down and down the list. I will forget people, but we have Carol Norbert, our health and human services director. We have our IT very prominently exhibited here today with Bill Costanence and with Thor Carlson. I hope that 2017 is a better year, an easier year. And I want to thank you all. I want to just put a reminder that we only have one reminder on the list, January the 3rd at 6 p.m. At the historic courthouse across the street, we have the Freeholder reorganization, and that is actually the county reorganization. It's the reorganization for all the county officials. I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn. Unless there's anybody else want to say anything? No? Okay. Motion to adjourn? So moved. Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.